Good afternoon. This is Jason Medlock, and welcome back to the Expansion of Consciousness. I'm excited about our guest today. And before we get into that, let's talk about the upcoming holiday, the end of the year goals. What are you going to do about changing your situation? What are you going to do about exploring different options to change your mindset, to manifest, to find yourself in a place where you can enjoy mindfulness activities? Our guest is going to talk about all of that. But as you guys know, I like to bring people on the show that, do a number of things. And, I speak about this quite often with guests, and it's always good to hear another take, another voice. And that's what Miss Heather Hakes is going to bring to us today. But the book, Expansion of Consciousness, it is done outstanding. And it could not have been in this situation without you guys writing reviews, purchasing the book. I've gotten inboxes from people that are starting book clubs over the holidays, and I invite you to start a book club. You can go to jasonmedlock.com and go to the section Empowered by Consciousness, scroll down, and there's a book club section right there. So if you want to start a book club, absolutely a wonderful thing to do, and I support it, and I'll check in on you guys every now and then. Another thing that I'll be doing, I'm going to also offer 10 people the opportunity to take my 7-day boot camp for absolutely free. We will get into that at another time, but stay on the lookout. All the people who follow me on the social media channels, stay on the lookout for that. And that's going to be awesome as well. But Heather Hakes, my God, Heather had me on her show, and I was so fascinated. It's just her level of knowledge. And she was she led me through the conversation. I was able to get points out. She was able to point some things out. We had a really great time. And I was like, Heather, come on the show. Please come on. I just want my audience to get a chance to know you. But Heather Hakes is a mindset coach. She's a speaker, a corporate trainer, and the author of Take the Leap. And that's her book, Take the Leap. She's been focused on numerous podcasts, published in Authority Magazine, Thrive Global, Voyage Denver, and Women Who Empower and Inspire. Heather has reached tens of thousands through her international podcast, Mind Over Matter. And if you go to my website, you will see me on this wonderful podcast. And also Heather has a YouTube page as well, and you can find her there. But Heather specializes in helping others get out of their own way by awakening their infinite potential to create their ideal life. Doesn't that sound eerily familiar? On my Facebook page, my banner says, get out of your own way. But Heather is a graduate of Tony Robbins Master University and Gabby Bernstein's Spirit Junkie Masterclass. She also studied and completed training through Abraham-Hicks, Dr. Joe Dispenza, who we all love, and Dr. Bob Proctor's Principles of Alignment, Brain and Heart Coherence, and Shifting Paradigms for Personal Mastery. Heather is now on a mission to help others overcome their blockages through her transformative coaching program. I am just so excited to bring in Heather Hakes. Hi, Heather. How are you?
Hey, Jason. Thank you so much for having me. It's nice to be on the flip side.
It's nice to be on the flip side. And you saw I smiled the entire time I was introducing you, because you're talented. You are a gleaming light, a beautiful spirit that's trying to help and impart the knowledge on the masses. And that's why I wanted you to come on the Expansion of Consciousness. And I'm just happy that you're here.
Well, thank you for having me.
And the typical question that is thrown out there is, well, how'd you get started? But we're going to move up a little bit further than how'd you get started. And we're going to go straight to it. Your theme, your passion, and I watched your YouTube shows, and I see you on there being passionate about teaching. Personal development is something near and dear to your heart. What guided you on that path, and with this passion that you have? What is guiding you to dive into this particular genre?
I think it truly started from an early age. I'm extremely grateful that my mom was on her own personal development journey. So I literally remember in elementary school, I grew up watching Oprah, Dr. Phil, but I remember at 8 years old watching Oprah, I learned about a gratitude journal. So I've been having a practice of gratitude, thinking of 5 things from that day for which I'm grateful since I was 8 years old. I do this every single night before bed, and I've literally done it for 30 years. So I started young, and then, like, I never felt like I fit in. I think a lot of kids go through that, and I moved twice my 8th grade school year, but I think that alone had me pursuing. I'm still very curious. I seek, I want to be the best version of me. I love challenges. I love obstacles. I push myself through physical feats and entrepreneurship. I call personal development on steroids. Well, ultimately, it's just like this deep knowing, which we all have, that, and so I've been reading personal development, psychology books since I was an early teen. I followed the conditioned norms, went to college, got a degree, did all that thing, and then found out that wasn't my dream. So yeah, I'm on my journey to help kind of awaken others.
And I know we share a lot of similarities, and just the get up, the go, the study, the research, the modalities that you've learned, the classes that you've had to really work your craft. What keeps you motivated? What keeps you going? Because it takes a lot for me to keep going. I'm interested to know, what's your it.
Well, so I think your question is, what's your why? What's your driver? And for
Mhm.
me, as an example, I mean, it's my coaching clients. I had a call with one of my, I can't say a favorite, but one of my long-term clients. He's renewed several times. But the wins he shared with me on Monday, so just a couple days ago this week, it's a reminder for me that what I teach is valuable. If you take it serious and implement it, you can have massive change in your life. And as an example, he has, in the last 1 month, he had $500,000 of new business opportunities come his way. He's now in a loving relationship, which is what he came to me for. He had a huge block around that. He had been reeling on the past. And so my driver is, I know this stuff works, and I want it to get into the hands of anyone who's ready to hear it.
Wow. And the moment that this stuff works, I had that wow, this works moment when I was um, being introduced to the law of attraction in Bob Proctor in The Secret by my sister. And my first introduction to it, I'm like, wow, okay, vision boarding, wow, metaphysics, wow, okay, law of attraction, I get it. And we started having these vision board parties every year. My sister would host them.
Mm.
And I would have all these things on the board. And at some point in the year, it would happen before the next vision board party. And I had that wow, this stuff works moment. But it was a routine I did every day. It was just a consistency on what I wanted, what I visualized. Do you have a routine that you do every day? For these type of results?
For sure, but I purposely call them rituals, not routines, because a lot
Hmm.
of times when we get into routines, a word you can derive from that is rut. So it at some point becomes automatic, and then it's like we're just going through the motions, checking off the box. So yes, I have rituals, and for me, those are intentional practices, meditation, movement. I read my what I call a manifesto, and here's what, like, I think vision boards are great, but they're the tip of the iceberg because I feel a lot of people put up these pictures and they think one day or someday or I hope, which is not connecting and aligning with that desire. But it does help you create clarity in things you want to have, be, do, or experience. So yes, I'm very intentional on how especially spend my mornings and my evenings, kind of bookending my day to help me stay proactive and consciously creating rather than falling back into autopilot.
Yeah, vision boards are the tip of the iceberg, but some people have to start somewhere. And when you have audiences that are maybe seeing you for the first time, and there are a lot of people out here just don't know. They have no idea. So They have to take baby steps before they can, sort of get to this bigger picture of how we attract things to one another. It's just amazing how energy works and how you're able to attract this energy with your frequency, with your vibration. I just find it fascinating, and that's why I study in the field of consciousness. When you're working with clients, what are some of the things that you see typically when you start to work with a person? What are some of the things that you do so that the audience can understand how you sort of approach working with people and trying to ascertain what direction to take them in?
Okay, so here's what, and it's even on my website, that change is simple. It's not necessarily easy at first, but it truly is simple. And so I've broken it down to four main pillars, and this is the transformative journey I take clients through. So step number one to creating any change in your life, or I see a lot of people lack clarity. They don't even know where they're going. Here's
Mm,
the thing. If you don't know where you're going, you're never going to get there. Like you are the driver of your life. So, number one, you have to become aware of who you've been, how you've been thinking and being to get out of that rut. Step number two, you have to create an aim. Where are you going? What do you want to have, be, do, experience? Step number three, it's about that daily, consistent practices. So, application, applying the tools and techniques that I teach. And then finally, step four is you will then attain the change you were after.
mm. And those are the steps, and you have people who will follow those steps. And sometimes in coaching, I've seen this with some people. They will do everything you say do, and once you turn them loose, 2 months later, or maybe even sooner than that, they're sort of back in the same situation, or they're close to it, and they're saying, well, it's not as effective anymore. It's not. And I try to tell people, Heather, whatever the reprogramming that takes place for you, there's a continuation on your part. Your coach can't do everything. There has to be an openness to this shift in the way you're thinking. We've laid the parameters, we've given you the tools and the reinforcement. Have you had anything like that happen with clients that, sort of maybe lose their way after you've done this work with them?
Well, I think it comes down to anybody. It really is self-discipline, learning how to discipline your thoughts, your emotions, and your habits. And sure, it's easy to fall back into the old ways, but it comes like you have to learn to be accountable to yourself. If you're always relying on an external force, the second that's gone. So, as an example, if you're happy when you're in a relationship, when that relationship ends, there goes your happiness. So you have to realize like it's an inside job. You have to be able to lead yourself. And yes, with my coaching clients, I provide the tools, but ultimately I want to empower them, give them the structure, the tools, the techniques. And yes, they have to continue doing the rest. So as an example, I kind of coined myself a personal trainer for your mind. A
Yes.
personal trainer at the gym teaches you nutrition, weights, workouts, but then it's up to you to continue carrying those out.
Heather, you sound like my twin sister, actually, because I have these same conversations and I've used that same analogy. I've used it also, Heather, in the aspect of cost. When you hire a personal trainer at the gym, you're going to have to pay for him. Now, he may have a boot camp special or something like that, but just for him to work with you, this guy is going to cost you because you want to achieve a goal. And I tell clients, when you feel the same way about your mindset, when you feel the same way about the place that you're in, maybe you're at this level, but you're wondering why you can't get to the next level, then you need to hire a coach. And I'm glad you said that because that jogged my memory. And so many people are on this journey and they're trying to get to whatever place they feel they should be. And my advice is to realize what you want. You said that a minute ago. What exactly do you want? And let's just figure out how to get it. What are some of the things? What are some of the things or some of the advice that you give people who maybe who are looking to work with you, or people who are working with you that are starting this journey?
Well, it really is step number one, becoming aware. So you have to become aware, what are those repetitive thoughts and beliefs that you have, because the sky is not the limit. Your belief system is. And a lot of people allow other people's beliefs to limit them. So,
Mm,
according to statistics, science, and psychology, we all have 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day. 80% of them tend to be negative until you start becoming aware and conscious of the unconscious. So now we're talking about the conscious mind versus the subconscious mind. 90% of your daily thoughts are on repeat. So here's the good news, because you could never monitor all of them. All you have to do is start becoming aware of the patterns. Become aware of your story, because a lot of people have this story on repeat, and you're going to live out your story. You want a new reality? Tell a new story.
mm. I named this show Expansion of Consciousness. The sky's the limit for you to expand, to continue to learn, to continue to explore, try new things. Um, the same concept can be applied to mastering your mindset. There's a lot of different things that goes into mastering your mindset. You mentioned in a part of your routine is meditation, and I'm a transcendental meditator. I meditate as well. I try to stay in touch. I try to use a number of mindfulness techniques, PQ techniques. So mastering your mindset, what does that mean to you in particular?
Okay, so what I talk about, let's go back to that analogy, the metaphor of personal trainer for your mind. It's
Yes.
about doing the reps, and there's tons of mindfulness techniques. You could daily journaling, self introspection at the end of the day. How would I do today? Um, but like, to master your mindset, it really is just staying awake and aware. It's that constant catch and replace. And
Yes.
when you truly understand quantum physics at a high level, thoughts become things. Whatever you focus on expands. Whatever you think about, you bring about. So here's what I love, and we could get into the Hermetic principles, but as an example, one of them, um, it's the law of correspondence. So think of reality, your life, as a mirror. Life is reflecting back to you your internal thoughts, beliefs, and emotions. So if your bank account isn't where you want it to be, if your health isn't where you want it to be, it's not about doing more externally. It's about changing something from the inside out. Because, Jason, I'm curious. I remember when I used to be in corporate, you get to a point like going through the motions, kind of overwork, bored, monotony. So then you go and get a new job. Same thing in relationships. So it's not going well in a relationship. Then you go in a new relationship, and at some point, you're going to find yourself in the same space. So you can go and get a dozen jobs. You can have a dozen partners. You can move to new cities. But guess what? Wherever you go, there you are.
Mm,
So the common denominator comes down to, oh, okay, so if I change how I am thinking and being, then I will start, quote, attracting. It's really about vibing, aligning with people who feel differently, people who treat me differently. If I start feeling more abundant and I'm acting as if, now this is not fake it till you make it, it's embodying it until you become it. If you start acting as that six-figure entrepreneur or that millionaire, whatever you desire, now you are showing up as that, and life has to bring back to you. Life is a boomerang. It has to bring back to you those experiences that you are in alignment with.
wow. Spoken like a true disciple of Dr. Joe Dispenza and Bob Proctor. And I love it because those guys, you exude some of those concepts, and it's just fascinating. And when I think about it, quantum hypnosis is the same thing. And when I'm working with people, or when we are as practitioners, we're working with individuals with hypnotherapy, it's about belief. It's about embodying the actual change that we're trying to bring forth. And all of these modalities crisscross with each other. And it's fascinating once you've, hodgepodge, and you've learned this one and learned that one, and you're like, wow, they're intersecting. So that's just incredible. So what's passionate? I should say, what are you most passionate about when it comes to helping others create their ideal lives?
it really is just like mastering your destiny. And I think that's kind of a cliche term, but what I'm most passionate about are two things: mindset and manifesting. Because when
Mm,
you get the game, then there literally are no limits. When we talk quantum physics, I like to think of it as they talk about the quantum field. That's really just source, energy, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it. But I think of it as an Excel spreadsheet because our brains think in terms of pictures. So if you think of an Excel spreadsheet, it goes on for infinity, right? And the whole point of an Excel spreadsheet is the X and Y axis. Where do things intersect? And so that's how I like to think about it. Let's say a desire you want: a home, a partnership, health, money, travel, and experience. It's at the connection intersection of like A8. So, in order to connect with that or to experience that, when you start thinking and being, and I have it right here on a post it on my computer, when you believe whatever you desire is possible, because that's step number one, you have to have belief that it's possible. If you doubt it, then it's like planting a seed and pulling it out. Believe it's possible, behave as though it's already yours. So that's the whole acting as if. And then you become that person who already has it, that's detaching from the outcome, and then life is really fun. So that's it. Two things: mindset, understanding thoughts become things. You are the creator of your reality. And then having a whole lot of fun experimenting. That's what I call them, by manifesting. Because here's the thing: let's take the woo woo out of manifesting. Manifesting just means bringing your desires or whatever into tangible form. You are manifesting every single day. It's just whether or not you're living life by design or by default. I want to help people live their life by design.
and we're able to do that. But we, like you said, we have to embody it. We have to understand and believe it. But let's talk about the book. I know that writing Empowered by Consciousness, I mean, it just took a lot out of me, but it was a personal goal that I wanted to experience, and I want to get my thoughts out there, and whoever it might resonate with, so be it. Your book, Take the Leap, and I know you're proud of it. Tell the audience about Take the Leap and what's in it and what is it talking about? What is it speaking to?
I think, especially if somebody's newer to personal development, it would be a great book. It really is ultimately my journey from contentment to fulfillment. It talks
Mm,
about gratitude practices, having those morning rituals, thinking bigger. I share stories of, because we could sit here and talk all day about manifesting, but like, let's tell some real stories. And so it really is just another one that's coming to mind is the idea of fear. And fear holds a lot of people back. Fear of
mm.
failure, fear of success, fear of rejection. But I love the motto, the mantra: let fear fuel you, not rule you. And so, like, that's what has driven me to do a lot of endurance feats, physical feats. That's how I build my mindset muscle: running marathons, doing triathlons. Like, I'm always intentionally getting myself out of my comfort zone just to see what I'm made of.
Hmm. Heather, is there anything you would do differently in your life, in your journey, if anything?
No, because I think that, like, I don't play the woulda, coulda, shoulda game. I
Mhm.
believe I'm exactly where I'm meant to be, and if it were supposed to be any different, it would have. I think I'm the timing. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. If anything, it was maybe understanding my intuition and following those nudges sooner. But I followed the nudge and quit corporate, I believe, exactly when I was supposed to. I followed the nudges and I let life guide me. So no, I think I'm exactly where I'm meant to, and I'm just excited for my continual growth and evolution, and like, I'm here to live my best life.
Right. So in your book, Take the Leap, and when you're writing these chapters on manifestation and or sharing these experiences, we tend to put our personal experiences in there, and that's what we have to go on versus what we've been taught. So when you manifested six figures after quitting a corporate job, how did that change your life? I wrote about selling a house through manifestation and manifesting money for a company that I started. But six figures after quitting a job, that is some outstanding manifesting. But how did it change you or change your life?
So for me, and I'm not an anomaly, I've actually had other guests on my podcast, very similar situations, and I finally got to experience. So instead of, like, oh, it's just power, I don't believe that. Experience is power, implementation power. Knowledge is great, but apply it. So I finally got to experience the universe has my back. Jump and let the net appear. And that's the whole idea. Look, I was scared to leave corporate, right? To leave stability, to leave a paycheck, to jump into the unknown. It was scary. But what was even worse was staying stuck, going through life's motions, dreading Monday, cheering on Friday, week in and week out. And I just knew there had to be something better. So here's what happened. And it took me a few months because I was waiting. I worked in oil and gas at the time. I was waiting for our annual um, bonus to Hicks. I'm not going to walk away from free money, right? So I waited for that, and that was in March. And then there's never a good time. So let me let people know your ducks will never all be in a row. At some point, you just have to jump.
You're right.
So I did. I delayed it. I delayed it. And then I remembered it was in May and it was a Thursday. And I got some task from my boss. And it was this whole like, F it mentality. I'm done. And I had written my resignation letter months prior, sitting in my desk drawer. And whatever happened that Thursday afternoon, finally that ignited me. I signed it. I walked down the hall. I'm shaking. I'm nervous, whatever. And I gave my notice. The next day, so this is what I want people to know. I jumped. I unknown. I have no idea what I'm going into, but I talked myself into it thinking the worst case scenario, I can get another job. That was the worst case scenario. 6 years later, I've never gotten another job. But anyway, so I quit, gave my notice. The next day, that's when my boss's boss came down, heard you're giving notice, we'll really miss you. And oh, by the way, here's your payout from the company's IPO. That had happened just a few weeks prior. I did not know I was getting that payout, but that's what I want people to know. When you jump, the universe has your back. The resources you need will come your way. And that, yes, that allowed me a bit of a nest egg. Trust me, it's really easy to spend money when you're traveling the world not making any. Writing a book, that cost 10 grand. Going to Tony Robbins events, I spent a lot of money there. But anyway, I just want people to know I'm not an anomaly. So follow those nudges. If you have passions and you are inspired by things, that is your joy. That could be your purpose. Follow those.
Hmm. Heather, what has been your aha moment? I've had a few of them, um, and particularly when I was studying remote viewing and associate remote viewing, I was like, oh, I can move my consciousness. So have you had a aha moment along your journey?
What specifically?
Excuse me?
What do you mean? Like what specifically? Aha moment around what?
Yeah, well, the example I gave was I had an aha moment when I was working in remote viewing, and I didn't really realize. I just, that my consciousness could move, and I could uncover different objects, and I could, really, really, predict future events using techniques, using my consciousness. And I'm like, oh wow, okay. So my question was, have you ever had an aha, like, wow, along your journey that you've gone through?
I think for me, what's coming to mind is Pam Grout. She's one of my favorite authors. I actually had her on my podcast as well. But Pam Grout wrote a book, E Squared. So my left brain loves the science behind all this, the metaphysics. And then my right brain, very creative, intuitive. And like I figured out how to kind of marry those. But Pam Grout's book, E Squared, is called Nine Do It Yourself Experiments. So what I love about these is that it's practical. Now that's where my left brain comes in. It's like, well, tell me this theory or this idea, but I want to go put it into play. I want to experience it. So for me, by understanding quantum physics, by understanding how to direct my mind, by putting myself through, I call them manifestos. I do them all the time. And so now I've built the belief, oh my gosh, that's possible. I do this with money. I've done it with travel, relationships, sports tickets, and more. And because I continually do these, it's like, okay, well, like what's next? And I'm having fun with it. Like I'm not attached to needing to have this thing, But it's just like, oh, well, if I can have that, then why not this? So I think that's the aha, truly understanding the power of the mind, quantum physics, and that, like I shared, the sky is not the limit, your belief system is.
Well, as a coach, a mindset coach, uh, I've just put your website out there. Can you tell the audience what to expect when they go to your website and how you engage them, and maybe some of the things that you have out there, programs or maybe some freebies, anything you'd like to say to help the audience understand, what they will see when they come to heatherhakes.com.
Sure. So the great place, especially if you're new to this, but like you're curious, you feel inspired, you're like, what do I do next? I do have some free resources. The first place I would start is the life assessment. It's totally free. Go in, take that. It helps you create clarity, kind of set some goals and a vision. That's where you need to start. Step number two, I do have a free video training on how to reprogram your subconscious mind. We barely touched on it today, but you really have to understand your OS, your operating system, in order to create change in your life. So those are two great places to start. If you're serious and ready to create that radical change in your life, I do offer one-on-one coaching and a free discovery call to learn more about that.
That's awesome. And let's touch on that. Let's touch on reprogramming the subconscious mind. There are a lot of different ways to conversate with the subconscious mind. But in the realm of coaching,
Yeah.
what is the important part of working with the subconscious mind while you're coaching someone to change their mindset?
Okay, here's what I love. So Dr. Bruce Lipton says, no, let's not complicate this, but he simply says that your life is a printout of your subconscious programming. So whatever comes easily to you, you're in flow. Like some people, it might be money. Some people, it might be opportunities. You have a program to support that. Wherever you are struggling and efforting, just getting by, you have a program that is pushing that out. So, as an example, you might have a conscious desire to be free and abundant, but your subconscious mind is stuck in poverty, thinking, lack, scarcity, limitation. So you have a disconnect. So just know this, your life is a printout of the subconscious programming, and that's where you can find clarity. What comes easily, where you're struggling, you just need to reprogram.
Absolutely. And that is so true. And, for those in the audience, you have to understand who you are. You have to really pay close attention, and just follow the instruction of the coach. Some people, they they're not totally committed to being coached in that manner because they're not familiar with that type of coaching, but it's outstanding coaching. And I encourage people. And one of the things I try to do, Heather, is just bring people on that have different perspectives so that uh, different audience can experience different people. And the people may resonate with you. They may resonate with you on another audience, me on another audience. But I like to give a variety to the audience with coaching. I've had a number of coaches on the show, and I just love what you're doing. I think that you have a lot of energy, and you have a special gift. And I'm so happy that you decided to come on. Do you have anything you want to say? Any final words that you would like to leave with the audience?
I guess, well, it's something I have, and it's even on my wall, that mindset is everything. And really, like, if you, I remember my first coach. So I hired my first coach back in 2016. That's why I've experienced and believe investing in yourself is the greatest ROI. But something he taught me was to be more childlike. And I think that's the thing as adults, we've gotten so serious going through the motions. And maybe a lot of us are chasing a definition of success that isn't aligned with our values. So the biggest thing I would offer somebody getting started is to pause, like pump the brakes on your life, do some self introspection, get clear, what do you want to have be do experience in this lifetime, and then have more fun, have more fun with it, and celebrate the tiny wins.
All right, that's awesome. So stay right there for me, Heather. I'm going to close this thing out. I want to say a few words to you, but thank you for coming on the expansion of consciousness. And we've enjoyed it. And I hope that the audience has also. So give me 1 second. I'll be right back to you. What a wonderful, wonderful human being. Brilliant young lady, Heather Hakes. Her website is www.heatherhakes.com. Mindset coach, manifester, also a teacher of mindfulness and meditation. And we use these practices. And there are some mindset coaches that use regular coaching principles. And then you have the mindset coaches who use spiritual modalities and mix them in with the coaching principles. So there is a difference, and there's a it's not a bad difference. It's just there is a difference on how and what type of coach you pick when you're looking to make this change in your life. When you really, really can get clear on what it is that you want, and once you can do that, and once you can trust, because even as a hypnotherapist, if I can't get a patient or a client to trust, then the process won't happen. It just will be all for nothing. But trust is the key. I want to thank you for sharing your time and coming on to the expansion of consciousness. I value you and the clicks and the likes and all that. That helps the show. That helps us grow. And I want to say to you, trust, relax, and discover. Thank you so much, and good night.